What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. And if you're looking for us, we're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review. Fresh from vacation, I am.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you're looking for YouTube, smash it. Just smash it down. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit it hard. Like I do Nathaniel's mom. But that's another story. Leave comments down below. Our website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com. If you want to give us fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then if you're looking for a place on social media, it's Strength Solutions Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So we're all there. And on Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, dude. I've been out for a week.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
And we haven't seen each other like in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's like the longest we've gone.
Since the fridge incident.
Yeah, the fridge debacle.
The debacle, yeah. All right. So I was lifting weights at the hotel gym.
Okay.
And it is so strong how social media influences people. Mm-hmm. And there's like two women who were there. And I'm not saying they're lifting incorrectly, but you're in a small gym and gym etiquette matters.
True. And
they were doing a big circuit. And it makes you think people only know one way of working out.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to adapt to change. And then the bros there were like doing like all these half reps. And dude, these guys look bigger than me, stronger than me. But I was like the strongest guy there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's wild to me. So I want to go over like lifting and how social media has impacted it, and first talk about like how it's impacted women. And it seems like the only thing they ever talk about with women is glutes, hamstrings, always the lower body. And now you're starting to see body shapes like Miss Incredible. Am I not right?
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think there is a lot of, it's definitely biased way towards that because that's what's going to sell and get clicks, right? Because that's what everybody thinks most people want and stuff like that. And then it sucks though, because when you try and go look for an upper body workout, right? I can only imagine if you're a woman going to go look for that, you're not going to find shit, right?
You're not going to find anything for a woman.
Or you're going to end up on some Gym Bros, page, and that's not what you're looking for, right? Or you're going to feel intimidated by it or just think it's not for you, et cetera, whatever it is. So then you end up with people who only do lower body ever, or do big circuits, like you said, because that's how girls, quote unquote, are supposed to train, right? Like light weights and doing lots of exercises and doing 5 different things to make sure you get every single angle of your glute and hamstrings or whatever it is. And then you end up in a situation like that where you're taking up a whole gym.
Yeah. And it's just insane to me that we're still falling into those traps, even though there's really good trainers out there.
Yeah.
And it's just more common than when I see somebody who is actually lifting pretty correctly.
Yeah. How big was that gym? How would you say?
It wasn't that big at all, dude. It's you see this room here?
Uh-huh.
Maybe this room plus my living room.
Okay.
And kitchen combined for the bottom floor.
Okay.
The top floor is probably this size.
Okay.
And then on the bottom floor there's like restrooms and stuff underneath.
Okay, so like not the whole area was a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, that's bigger than like a normal hotel gym, right? But
this is like at Cancun.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I think a lot of the people that are there, I bet, like you said, you saw a lot of the guys who are just doing half reps. I bet they were just like, I just want to pump, I just want to look good on, like going out and stuff like that. So all this dumb stuff going on in there.
It's just interesting to me. It's just like seeing it and then just seeing. Like, okay, you're in this environment that is very small. There's not a lot of space. And understanding like gym etiquette, like that should be like a class, I think, or like something talked about online.
Yeah, I think so.
Like not taking up a piece of equipment for like hours, especially like in smaller groups or smaller areas. And, if this is taking up like learning how to share too. I mean, I'm not saying these people wouldn't share. Like I know one of the guys jumped in with the girl, but like, I shouldn't have to like have 8 things going on at once to get a good workout. Like,
regardless, right? Like
change your style so that you're aware of who you're around. Because there's people who are probably pissed who don't even want to go up to you and ask like, can they borrow it? It's just that guy is comfortable because he probably lifts weights. I could tell, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I was still stronger, but
yeah, I can imagine that it's like, I can imagine it's like one of those just very annoying things. I mean, it happens in normal gyms, when people are taking up like a whole cable machine or staying at a squat rack for fucking,
2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah. Just walking around talking and stuff like that. It's annoying because you don't have that much equipment. And even in a big gym, if that's a problem, I can only imagine in these smaller gyms when you're traveling and stuff like that. But like you said, I think it comes down to the fact that most people don't know any other way to work out. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's just how they see it. That's what they've always done. So when you walk into the gym, you just think, well, I'll just do whatever. It doesn't really, I'm sure they cared a little bit about who was around them and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, they're just like,
let me get my workout.
This is just how I work out. Yeah. This is just what I do. This is the only way I know how to do it. So I think it is important to learn different ways to be able to have kind of a, how do you say it? Like, an artillery, right, of things that you can do.
I understand we're trainers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you got to like be aware of your situation, or maybe you're just following the wrong people.
Yeah, that too, right? Yeah.
And then there's people defending their biases, right? And so I was on I read 2 books. One was called Fiat Foods.
What was it called?
Fiat Foods.
Fiat Foods. Okay. Fiat.
Like fiat currency.
Like the car?
Or like the car, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just literally talks about like inflation has affected our food prices and things like that. And even when I was reading the book, because it was recommended by somebody, and I'm just thinking like this is not the only reason why we have poor eating decisions and stuff like that. And cost of food is more and things like that. But like I talked to a little bit about with a client today, like people just need to take ownership. Take ownership of your decisions you're eating. Stop blaming others. And, I'm usually not the harsh guy. I'm usually like, look, it's okay. But there's times where you got to have that moment and be honest.
Yeah.
And look, sometimes you just got to learn that it's your fault and take ownership. I forgot what happened the other day and who it was, but someone took ownership and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, because you said it was your fault.
Right. Because you don't see that often at all, like ever. And so I think especially in terms of nutrition and eating and food and the food choices you make, and I understand that there's a lot to this, right? There's a lot of different situations and everybody has an individual life and things going on. But like you said, at the end of the day, you're the one who makes the decisions about what goes inside your body, right? Or what workout you do, right? Or how you're going to act in the gym or whatever it is. And so I think there does need to be more of that responsibility taking, especially I think more so in terms of diet. I was having a conversation with a client the other day because he was going to take a break for a little bit, and I usually leave it a little more open on that last day where I'm like, hey, if you have any questions at all, ask me, or whatever workout you want to learn or whatever. And he asked me a really good question. He was like, what do you think, knowing me for as long as you have, if I'm going to go off on my own for the next 6 months or whatever it is, like what should I be working toward? What should be my goal? What do you think, And I was like, I have known you for a long time. I think you still have a lot of progress to make. He's in his 50s, so he still has a long way until he's like 60, 65, when it starts to become more about just maintaining what you have. And I was like, I think above all, you need if I had to give you any goal, it wouldn't be squat this much, bench this much. It's control your diet. Like that's what it comes down to. And he was like, you're so right. He was like, I know you're right. Like that's exactly what my problem is. And I was like, if you could do that, man, the next 7 years, that you have lifting are going to be life-changing, and it's like you have just this, not to put like a time frame on it, right? But it's like, hey, you got like 7 years before you're 60. So like, let's try and use them,
Yeah, I totally agree, man. It's, you got all that time in the world to make it better. Like, also, he's halfway past his life. Did you know that?
Yeah. You see that
little post?
Yeah.
76 is considered average life expectancy.
Right. So
I'm halfway through my life. But
yeah, because when I say middle age isn't 50, it's 38, right? That's crazy,
wild,
man.
right? To think about
that is wild. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So
it's all downhill from here, man.
Not to change the subject, but women are in fault for all crime. That's going to go viral, right?
That's not a good one.
No, I'm just kidding. So there's a research article, and it was talking about same-sex couples. And that women in same-sex couples are 56% higher off committing a crime, while men in the same-sex couple is 32% that are going to commit a crime.
As compared to like different sex couples, is that what they're comparing it to? Okay. 56% higher. I wonder why.
Yeah. And it was wild reading it and stuff like that. And I was just like, women are all the cause of crime. No, I think what happens is because masculinity, like a toxic version of it, I guess, is probably more related to someone who's in a same-sex couple and like being the female and trying to be the dominant one. It may lead to like a domestic violence or more controlled. And since they're a woman, right, they're more likely to literally believe the other woman who created the domestic violence situation, right? Or things like that, or commit the crime.
Or I can imagine there's maybe like
there's more complexities to it, right?
Yeah, I imagine there's also maybe like feelings of like having to overcompensate, right, to be like respected at that in the same way, you know, and stuff. So I can see that happening. I think the domestic violence thing is interesting. Also, but also the fact that in both same-sex couples, whether it's 2 men or 2 women, that they're both higher percentage to commit a crime. That's interesting.
Well, the men was a lot lower.
It is.
I think the men were below the opposite couples.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't put that one in there, but they were below.
Oh, interesting.
Like crime overall, like percentage wise, right? But I think it's just men are just chilled. No, I think honestly, if a man and man relationship, it's not. From what I've seen, it's not like abusive, and I think because probably libidos match more.
Yeah.
In that sense, like typical high libido.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like it's just interesting.
I would like to see more about
women
this
and
one.
women.
Yeah.
I want to read more articles about it.
I'd also like to see, I guess, what crimes they're saying that they would commit. Like what
they just had like a whole genre across. They're just general crimes overall.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like more specific ones. Like, are they more likely? Yeah, like you said.
Well, it's just like if you look at divorce rates, the same-sex couple of women tend to divorce more than same-sex couple of men.
It's because they can't make no decisions about where to eat for dinner, you know?
You know, a big part of it is it's just easier to get caught when you're in opposite relationships. And then I wonder if it has to do with like physical needs. And in the sense of like men tend to like both match libidos probably in the high sense, and they're playing with each other all the time.
Yeah, both visual.
Yeah, both
right.
visual,
yeah.
right? And then the women, like it's all just mismatched.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's just really interesting.
There's a lot, yeah.
Within that, I'm not saying anything good or bad about it. I'm like,
it's
in
an
shock.
Interesting percentage, regardless.
So we all watched the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I didn't really watch any because I was in Mexico.
Yeah. To be
drinking my mojito.
I haven't watched a lot of it. I mean, it's kind of impossible to miss it because there's clips floating around everywhere. Or so I've seen a lot of the big things that have happened.
The 1,500 meter race.
Yeah, I saw that.
Guy came back.
Yeah, I saw the
400 meter,
the 100 meter dash too. What else?
I just gotta get a longer nose. Right?
I saw a lot of the swimming stuff.
Okay. You know what I would do? Want to bring up?
Yeah.
That's like okay. This guy has a big package. The pole vault guy.
Oh, I
want to bring that up.
Yeah,
how?
Because they didn't count it,
get
right?
Huh?
He like got docked.
Well, because he knocked the pole down, right? Because his package touched
his junk touched it. Yeah.
But okay, we're talking about a man's private part, but we bring up a woman's breast or something like that, and how it's just very double standard.
I don't know, because I bet if that happened the same way for a woman, they probably would say it didn't count either.
No, not that it didn't count part. I'm talking about how much they're talking about it part.
Oh, I see what
how
you're saying.
It's being a culture part.
Yeah. And you know what's funny too is that I feel like in this, what I've seen primarily about it is sort of like poking fun at it.
Yes.
Like it's more of a comical thing that happened. And I think that you're right. I think if it was on the opposite end, it wouldn't be so funny, right? We wouldn't be like, oh, her giant knockers knocked it off. You know what I mean? Like there wouldn't be any of those types of jokes. Or if there were those types of jokes, people would be like, that's inappropriate. That's insensitive. Like she can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, but when it's a guy, it's like, oh, it's funny. So here's a good example of, I guess, that double standard is, have you ever heard of, or at least heard of, or have seen the show called The Boys?
Yes, I have.
You've seen it?
I've seen like clips.
Okay, yeah. So I'm
a clip guy with that show.
That's okay, yeah. There's a scene in like the newest season where one of the characters is a male, and he's subjected to like some very how do you say, graphic, like sexual abuse type things. And in the context of the show, it was made out to be comical. It was made out to be like we're supposed to laugh at this, like this is funny, or it's like so over the top that it's like, oh, you're just like kind of laughing at the character about it. And a lot of people were kind of upset about it because they were like, how come when a male character goes through a sexual abuse thing, it's funny, but if it's a female character where it's dramatic and bad, and how's she going to recover, and hopefully they're okay, like I'll be honest with you, like watching that scene, I was uncomfortable. Like I was like, this is super uncomfortable to watch. Like, and I know that's like that part of the show and stuff like that. Like you're getting into it like that, but I was like, man, I'm having a hard time watching this, and it affected me the same way where a lot of people were like, haha, it's so funny that this happened, and it's like, I wonder why it's kind of pointed in like, it's funny this way, but not funny that way.
It's like when we follow the Tin Men, and he talks to a lot of men, and they'll get raped or abused, and people don't believe them.
Yeah.
And
or it even goes worse, right? Where people are like, "Oh, you're so lucky.
You had sex with this woman. You're so lucky."
It's like, dude, what the fuck?
I don't know.
That's not cool.
I think we need to learn as humans, like even with the crime thing that we talked about earlier, is see everything at an individual case. Like it's very individualized and everything like that. And like rape should never happen, right?
No.
At the end of the day. But each individual case within it, because I've even read this Reddit about the rape, and this woman was like, she was raped when she was younger. Of course, they don't say names, right? They just say age.
Of course,
and then she was at a wedding, and then her cousin was literally saying, "Oh, I had sex with my boyfriend at the time, and I let him leave it in, and he broke up with me like 3 weeks later." And she played loosely with that word rape and said she was raped, and then she went off because she's been raped before in the past.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't use that word loosely.
Yeah, yeah.
And even then, like with men too, like you can't, if they got raped, they most likely are being honest, and like they probably were drugged, because there's guys who've been drugged, and like they're like, well, how do you keep it up? Well, they put Viagra and like the dicks up and everything. And it's just like they can barely move.
I think we need to I think the context of that word has changed. It's funny. I was watching some of the stuff that you had sent me today. And one of them was like things millennials killed forever. And like, it was like smoking or like other silly stuff or whatever it was. And you talking about that, I remember like when I was younger playing video games and stuff like that, you would just say that word all the time. Like you'd be like, "Oh, we're getting raped out here." Like, and it's like in the context of a video game, like, and I was never comfortable with that. I was like, I just feel like that's not something we should be saying. But it's like, I feel like now I still play video games a lot. And even now, I don't hear that anywhere near as often.
Really?
I don't hear like slurs as often. I don't hear like, it's almost shocking when that stuff does happen.
Like people are concerned about other people's mental health and how they think.
It's changed a lot.
They're conscious.
I feel like social context has changed a lot. And like you said, I hope that we're at least moving toward that kind of area of like, hey, the words that mean something terrible should stay as that, and we shouldn't like normalize their use. Yeah.
So I was in Mexico, right? And there's a bunch of shows. I saw like a Michael Jackson's show. I saw like a rock show. I saw a circus and a fire show.
Nice.
And it was cool, right?
Yeah.
And so there was this guy in the circus show, literally had my exact body type. Amanda's like, "That's you.
It's him.
That's you." She had to make sure I was there. She like tapped my knee and everything.
Like, did you go?
Hold on. Did you go there? But you put a wig on because they had hair.
Okay.
And so like you're thinking, okay, I don't have that body type that looks extremely strong and all that stuff. This guy did a backflip.
Damn.
And then what would you think he did in the circus if he has my body type?
Let's see. Circus. So was it all like acrobatic type stuff?
It was an acrobatic thing that he did, yeah.
Okay. Did he do the swing where he has his hands on it, swinging around, going through the air? No?
Okay, I'll give you what it is.
Yeah, tell me.
So you know when they go up the pole and they walk up the pole and stuff like that?
Uh-huh.
So he did the walking up the pole.
Okay.
Then he hung there like a flag, when you hold
like
sideways.
Flag? Uh-huh.
Yeah, he did the flag. He was walking with his feet up. He put his legs around the pole, leaned out, leaned back.
Damn.
He was able to do a backflip. And I was like, man, you really can't judge anybody by the way they look and what they can do. Because there's guys who probably look ripped up, look really good, but cannot move. And so when you're thinking about choosing a fitness goal, what do you want to do? Just look good? Or do you want to be able to do stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like my whole movement now is I built as a lot of muscle as much as I can, but now my goal is to be the best overall athlete. Can I have cardiovascular? Can I have as much mobility as I can? And things change, you know, just it's not always about aesthetics. And I was thinking about it too, is like we talked about like cutting just because people care so much about your aesthetics.
Yeah.
When aesthetics has no clue into like how strong you are. Like I was there, guys were bigger than me and I'm lifting more weights than them at ease. And they're looking, I caught a couple guys looking at me like shocked that I'm picking up these heavy dumbbells, shoulder pressing over like 65 over my head. Like it was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. My brother just got a new gym membership. They just opened up a Crunch in San Marcos, the first one there. So
Cheap bastard.
so he went there because he likes the one whenever me and him work out. So he went and he told me the other day that it was like the first day that it opened. He saw a lot of people that from other gyms that he had been at there. And he was like, it's funny, nobody's at the squat racks right now. Like nobody's touching any of the squat racks. Wow. It's just me. And he was kind of texting me like as his workout went on because he's there super early, so he just kind of like uses me to talk to. And so he was like,
no wonder you don't answer my text.
Yeah, his wife
rolls more important than Edwin.
His wife came over, and he was like, it's funny because when she came over to start using the squat rack, other people started coming, and then like it started filling in after that. So I don't know if maybe her presence made it feel more accessible, like maybe like less intimidating, because I know my brother was there and I know he was lifting really heavy, so you know I bet a lot of people were like, I don't want to go over there. And he was like, you know, I'm looking at everybody here, and like you said, he was like, you know, there's people who look really good, there's people who don't, you know, like et cetera, whatever. And he was like, but I'm pretty confident that at the moment right now I'm probably the strongest person in here. And I think the thing is that like,
did you text him? That's the first time because I'm not there.
Yeah, I was like, you're lucky I'm not there. That's but it's like, I think that, again, you look at him, you're not going to really be like, oh, this guy's fucking jacked, or, you know what I mean? But I know he's super strong. I know that he's probably maybe right, you know? I don't know who was there, but it's easy enough to kind of just be like, well, I know I can do these things, so I feel super confident of being strong in here. And like you said, yeah, I mean, I've seen people who are a lot bigger that are super flexible, right? Highly mobile. Like you said, I've seen people who are super jacked and have crazy back pain or whatever it is. So I think we just need to change that kind of perspective of what fitness looks like and understand, I think, like you said, again, on that individual level and kind of take everybody for just what they are.
Yeah, I think for fitness too, we got to change this culture of just aesthetics until we change that culture.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get my kids to realize just lift weights.
Yeah.
Do cardio for you to do fun activities like to zip line, to jump off a bridge, to do all these things that you want to do that's adventurous, that doesn't feel as scary because you're fit and healthy. You want to go hiking. We can go hiking and not feel as tired and make it more fun funner for
there's
everybody.
More goals and objectives.
Yeah, more fun. My wife would make.
More funner.
She would kill me. So let's go to this first study, dude. This first study says, new study finds eccentric only lifting can reduce muscle soreness while increasing strength and size.
Muscle stiffness, right?
Stiffness. Not soreness, stiffness. So they took 36 men. They were assigned to two different groups. First group trained twice a week. The other group trained 3 times a week at a higher frequency and volume. And so they did a stiff leg deadlift for their hamstrings. So they measured their hamstrings. So the group that did do this 3 times a week got better results. They didn't go to fatigue in there. Group 2 saw no significant changes, but small changes. So that's the group that did it twice a week.
Right.
So to me, it shows how much volume and frequency plays a role in anything you do.
Yeah, because they both trained the same exercise, right? Yeah. But the third group, I like how they said that they trained 3 times a week, but they also changed at number one, obviously a higher frequency. But because of that third week, I bet even if they were doing less intensity through those weeks, they were still getting more volume through the entire week, right? So they were essentially just adding more stimulus to that muscle group longer. And I think it also points to how you train, right? Because they're training for, I guess you could say, mobility, right? Instead of training for strength or size or whatever it is, right? Now, I think the cool thing too is that in that study, it said that both groups saw, I think, like strength increases or whatever.
Strength and size increases.
Right. So even though that they were maybe not aiming for that, they still got that sort of side
on the
effect.
inner hamstring side.
Yeah, right. The inner hamstring. Yeah. And so it's interesting too, because maybe you're not about doing a bunch of mobility or just sitting there doing whatever, but like you said, like a Jefferson curl, right? Things like that we talk about in the past. Like these are exercises that can be done also, that can be used in order. It just depends on how you're using them, what kind of tool you're using it for. You know, I have a client who's leaving soon. He's going back to school at Texas State. And he was kind of asking me,
Eat 'em up, cats.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, he was asking how he should work out or what exercises he should do. And one of the things he asked me, he's like, should I do a barbell overhead press or should I do a dumbbell shoulder press? Like, which one should I keep doing? And I was like, well, you should probably do both of them. Like, you shouldn't, leave one out for another. But it just depends. Like, they're tools, right? You think of them as tools. I was like, maybe you think of the barbell overhead press as that's my strength move, right? That's the exercise that I'm going to try and push a lot of weight on. That's the exercise that I'm going to try and overload a lot on. And I use my dumbbell shoulder press maybe for more stability and mobility or to build muscle, right? Because I can get a little more frequency through that. And I was like, you shouldn't take one out or just say one is better than the other one, but you just use them both, right? At the time that you feel like you need to use them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard kind of concept, right? Because most people are like, all right, tell me which one's better. So I just do that one, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not
Yeah,
that
or you
easy.
can be like, when you're feeling tired and you have a test coming up and you feel like
Yeah,
your body's
yeah.
rebelling against you,
Hey,
maybe
don't
you
do
go
the barbell.
do the dumbbells, right?
Mhm,
Like
yeah.
there's multiple reasons why you use a certain tool.
Right.
Like I was on vacation and I literally did goblet squats.
Mhm.
I did straight leg hamstrings
Mhm.
for my legs, and those are the only two movements I did the whole time.
Hell yeah.
I did them light enough so I could do reps. 1, I'm drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
2, I just wanted to feel the movement.
Mhm.
3, to get some of that alcohol out of me. 4, I don't want to feel so stressed because I worked out early in the mornings that I don't have energy for at night.
Yeah.
And so your body can only handle so much.
Yeah.
Overall, and I wasn't even lifting my heaviest,
Yeah.
and I was good.
It just felt good to do.
Yeah. Second study. Now got to get this up. There we go. For bigger muscles, push close to failure. For strength, maybe not. Study reveals training close to failure boosts muscle growth, but not clear impacts on gaining strength.
I like this one.
So I think this is so true for the most part. Closer you are to failure, you got different ways to fail, right? So you could fail if you fell with a lot of weight in your high risk. Let's say I'm doing 15 reps and I fell with low rate, a lot less risk. So if I push to failure, then you have your sarcoplasmic reticulum and all that. You have fluid in between muscles. It'll grow that fluid in between the muscles a little bit, right? You get the pump sensation, so it builds up that muscle. It's a great way to build overall size. Don't neglect strength though for muscle size too.
Right.
But strength also is a learned skill. It's not so much just about how much muscle you have.
Yeah, and I always tell people like to kind of think in simple terms. Like strength training is more of training your nervous system, right? Hypertrophy training is training the muscle, right?
Yeah.
Trying to grow the muscle.
And I know
size
we're
up.
exaggerating because they both affect each other, right?
And you're going to get strength the bigger your muscles are, right? And you're going to get size if you're training for strength too. Like that, you can't really do one without the other. Maybe with a little less effect, depending on which one. But I thought this is interesting. Again, having conversations with people. I've had people ask me like, should I be training to failure every single time? And it's like, well, no, like you definitely should not be doing that. Again, it's a tool that you use. It sort of just depends on what you're looking to do at the moment.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times when it comes to building muscle, you'll look at bodybuilders and they look so huge, but they're never the strongest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then you look at somebody who's actually strong, they never look the biggest.
And they never look super cut, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching us. And also, we're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. You can check us out on YouTube. You can like, subscribe. Before we go into fitness questions, we have strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. And then we're on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin on Instagram.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right. First question. What has to be the hardest part as a trainer to convince your client about trusting the process?
Man.
First, just trust the process.
Yeah, I think having them trust you too, right? That you're telling them the truth. Having them have that confidence that things are going to happen, even if it doesn't happen maybe as fast as they would like, right? I think that's kind of the hardest thing. Cause man, so I won't say her name because you'll know who it is exactly, but I'll tell you after. But we've been training a lot. We've been doing a few months now. She's getting ready for something pretty big coming up in like a month or so. Dude, every single time we scan, fucking incredible results. She's lost weight. Her muscle mass is either the same or has gone up. Her body fat percentage has just been dropping and dropping and dropping. I'm fucking super impressed. I'm like, this is inspiring as hell. Like, you did incredible. You know, it's been about a month since the last one. She did so good. You know, blah, blah. I'm talking her up. And I hand her the paper and she's like, oh man, I wish I was just this weight. And I was like, don't fucking do that. I was like, dude, God. I was like, you just did incredible. Like, you are putting on muscle mass and you're losing body fat. You still lost weight. She was like, I just wish I made it to that number because I think we were off by like 1.5 pounds. And I was like, dude, like, what?
So fixated on a number.
Yeah. And so it's like, even when you do trust the process, or even when you do see the results happen, you know, like, still sometimes people are like, if only. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
You know, another
I don't know how to make you happy, man.
Another thing that makes it hard is media.
Yeah.
Right. And then your past biases. I mean, when you get somebody who comes in and they're like, well, I did carnivore and I lost all this weight, or I did this. Yeah. Well, why didn't it work for you continually?
Yeah. Right? I think at that point as a trainer, the hard part is having that actual hard conversation, right? And sitting them down. You know, I bring this conversation up a lot in the past and stuff like that. But I remember I had a conversation with a new client that was coming in and he wanted to lose a lot of weight and all this stuff. And he was like, well, I lost, 50 pounds in 3 months, or 6 months or something like that. Like, the last time I worked out, like, blah, blah, like, I could do that again. Right. And I was kind of telling him like, well, no, like, I don't really think that was, like, super safe the way that you lost that much weight. And I think it was 3 months. Cause I remember being like, damn, that's like a fuck ton. And he was like, well, I did it before. So like, why can't I just do it again? And I was like, well, look, like, you're sitting here in front of me asking me to help you lose the same 50 pounds that you lost that one time. So obviously it didn't work, right? That style of weight loss got you right back in the chair again, about to pay me money to help you do it all over again.
Because you didn't learn the process.
You did it too fast, or you did it in an incorrect way, or maybe it was a lot of muscle that you lost, right? And not a lot of fat. And so it's hard, especially for me, just as a person, to kind of sit down and have that conversation, because I'm like, I know this isn't going to hit right. You know, like, I know they're not going to be happy about what I'm saying.
Because you're brutal in the moment, right?
Yeah. And you like, as a trainer, the hard part too is like, you risk them being like, I'll just find somebody else. Right. But I'm like, I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to be real with you. And I think a lot of times people tend to actually receive that a little bit better than you lying to them. Right.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What do you think will end the obesity epidemic?
Man.
I honestly think it's just a culture shift. It has nothing to do. I think we lose more weight than anybody. We gain it back, but it's a culture shift. Like, shifting the culture to going outside, shifting the culture to stop using things like DoorDash and eating at home, and taking these moments of, I think, maybe even spirituality, whatever spirituality you have and purpose, and spending time with friends and family in a way away from media. So, consuming content.
I think, like you said, culture is probably the biggest one. You know, you could say changing society or whatever it is. But, I think another one maybe I'll add in here, maybe secondly to culture, is going to be what we said earlier, is taking responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
I think taking responsibility for your own actions, for your own food that you choose, the food you choose for your kids, right? Things like that. I think that's also going to have a huge impact on it, right? As opposed to making more injectable shots or pills or whatever it is.
All right. Question number 3. What are your favorite exercises for arms?
Oh, interesting.
You have any?
I like to do cables. I like doing cable work for my arms. I like doing...
Because you can feel the pump and the tension all the way through.
Yeah, and I feel the tension all the way through. I don't feel like I have to worry about, like, my stabilization as much and things like that. So I can kind of just focus on... Because when I do my arm stuff, for me, that's like my purely vain exercise, where I'm like, I don't care about how fucking stable my skull crusher is. I just want to make my triceps look big, because I worry about all of the other stuff in my bigger compound lifts, right? Now, if I really do need to do that stuff, that's a little different. But honestly, I like a easy curl bar with a bicep curl from the cable, and I like a nice, good old tricep extension with the rope, man.
You know what I like? A good old farmer's carry.
That's good. Yeah.
I like that because it uses your forearm.
Yeah.
You hit that bicep pretty hard. I'm not going to hit my triceps with that.
You just
Yeah. But I like a good old farmer's carry.
That's
If I'm
good.
going
I like
non-traditional.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
All right. Question number 4. Should I do a meal plan and would that work for me?
Maybe,
What does work for
not.
me mean?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the times people do meal plans and I think they do them because they have too much on their plate. And what I mean by too much on their plate is they have a really crazy schedule. And so I think whenever I hear people ask about meal plans, it's like 2 main things. It's either I don't know what I'm supposed to eat or I don't have time to make food. Right. And so I think that those are the 2 big things. And I think a meal plan is sort of like a Band-Aid to the problem. Right.
Yeah.
You should be maybe trying to find the time to cook your own food. And educating yourself on what you're supposed to be eating. Because I think at the end of the day, again, it's like a meal plan works for when you're doing it, but what about when you're not doing it, right? When time does go crazy or you can't afford it anymore or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. No one's ever done a meal plan their whole life, so I don't really understand what the point of them is.
I think where a meal plan would be good is if there's a coach. For somebody who does not know what portion sizes is and does not know where whole foods play a role versus processed food and who can help you calorie control and see food differently too. I could see a meal plan working. Like I know companies who do that. Yeah. And that's where I would see a meal plan work. But a meal plan by itself, literally you could just pick up anything on the internet. You could go to ChatGPT, make you a meal plan.
Oh yeah.
Put the foods you like in there. It'll do just fine. Yeah. But if you can't do it forever or learn how to live with food your whole life, then it's never going to work.
It's kind of the same question of being like, should I get a workout program or should I get a trainer, right? It's like, should I get a meal plan or should I get a nutrition coach or dietitian? Or
like a workout plan is going to be great, but if someone's not there to coach and train you.
Yeah, or if you don't know how to do the exercises.
Or you don't know who you can trust and stuff like that, or ask.
You just run into the same problems.
Yeah, and that's why if people get our programs, ask us a question on our email, we'll go ahead and answer that email.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate, review us. Also, we're on YouTube. Please leave a comment down below and smash that like button and subscribe button. Then our website is strengthsolutionspodcast.com, strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com for future fitness questions. And on social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys, what? Boo!